One thing I've noticed in isekai shows is how often the main characters bring essentially nothing of their past selves with them into these new settings. They might as well be completely different people. In fact, some anime could have the isekai element taken out of them entirely, and almost nothing would change. Almost. We'll get back to that qualifier in a bit. In my most recent watch, as a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. Our lead is a former 35-year-old office worker. We don't see him interacting with anyone in his old life. He appears drained of motivation, spending his evenings alone playing video games. The title we see him playing is called Legend of Nobunaga, referencing a historic figure who unified Japan in the 1500s during a massive civil war. But that's really all it is. A reference. An Easter egg for Japanese audiences who would be very aware of who Nobunaga was in their history. A clue as to the broader structure of this particular anime series. Then one morning, he steps out of his apartment to begin a new monotonous day and dies of a heart attack. None of this backstory is ever mentioned again. If we had just started off with our young 3-year-old noble learning what he needs to eventually succeed his father and possibly much more, nothing would change in the plot. Wait, that can't be right. He's supposed to be 3? My point is that there's basically no reason to set this up as an isekai. What does doing so add? Even his unusual intelligence can be explained away by simply saying he's extremely gifted. The child prodigy is a great trope. But there is in fact a reason to make even this type of story isekai. Why? Well, it's a more extreme version of escapism. While many are lucky enough to know what they want in life, many others aren't. There are plenty of those who feel completely empty inside. They don't know what they want to pursue. They work dead-end jobs, not because they can't do anything else, but because they can't think of any jobs they could do that would actually make them happier. There's a moment in the anime where our hero sees a talented young slave with no ambitions, and he can't stop thinking about it. The girl is someone who's accepted her lot in life. She's a literal slave to her circumstances, unable to imagine the possibility of things ever improving. Ours can relate to this. Even if all we get are small snippets from his old life, the lack of hope in them is on clear display. He had basically given up. So the idea of drawing on his existing knowledge and skill sets to do even greater things isn't necessarily all that appealing, outside of being a lesson as to what he doesn't want. Many people would love to escape from everything they currently are, to be fully and truly reborn. That's what this taps into.
I'll let you live your new life the way you want to.
Hip hip! Hooray!
In Farming Life in Another World, our main character has a prolonged terminal illness and eventually dies. When given a second chance at life, he decides to take up farming, even though he's never farmed before. He knows almost nothing about it, but that's exactly why it appeals to him. It's something completely new. My unique skill makes me OP even at level 1 is about a man who died from overwork and now spends his days harvesting food from dungeons. There isn't any connection between those two things. It's a complete reset. Nothing from his past life is relevant in any way. And these changes are so refreshing to him, he turns into an entirely different person. He's happy. Drugstore in Another World gives us a main character who's apparently a former corporate drone and current isekai resident. Not entirely sure what's meant by that, but it's all we get. He starts the anime as a pharmacist, and we don't get any flashbacks to his old life until the final episode. We do get flashbacks in that, but its inclusion almost feels like an afterthought, and, once again, his previous job has no relevance to what he's doing now. Many of these characters feel like their previous lives were a waste, so getting to start over in a new world is a chance for them to begin anew. Gone are the days of working a thankless, dead-end job, of having no aspirations and no genuine friends. They now have exciting opportunities and a revitalized drive to excel. They often have randomly generated, overpowered abilities, and they connect with companions who are absolutely loyal. While in some ways it may seem like a waste not to incorporate the skills a person acquired in their old lives into their new ones, there are things these stories gain by not doing that. Things that make them more relatable to a lot of people who have yet to find their purpose. The white-collar worker gets to experience life cooking up delicious meals in campfire cooking in Another World. The unemployed pervert in jobless reincarnation gets to leave all that behind and become a perverted hero. Rudy might be the one example of a character bringing elements of his old self into an isekai that are neither beneficial nor wanted. He is, however, like all of the other examples I cited, bringing no skills to the table. Being reincarnated is his chance to be more than he was. But it's not just about heightening the escapism for audiences. It's also about making it easier for people to put themselves into the shoes of these characters. Sure, these leads may have pasts and backstories that differ from our lived experiences, but they aren't things that matter for their future. It's all scrubbed away. Any of us, if put into the situations of our heroes, could become someone truly able to make a difference in the world. Not that escaping into a fictional fantasy world is the only way to succeed and become someone special. I'm sure many of you out there are doing amazing things. Yet even a successful career path doesn't preclude any of us from contemplating what things would be like under different circumstances. And this trend is certainly not just one being forced into random fantasy stories because of the popularity of the isekai genre. It's deeper than that, unless it's not. Maybe there's a bit of marketing involved. Okay, there's definitely marketing involved, but that doesn't necessarily mean it makes these stories worse for bearing that label. Until next time, peace.